async code, right? So you don't have this spaghetti code with callbacks all over the place. Really neat stuff, but it's a little bit tricky to debug. I want to have a look at a different app. So I'm going to switch over to this different app here. And this is basically an async version, or it's a different version of my Supernova app. And what it does is, I'm just going to run it here. So what it's doing here is it's actually showing me some low-res photos of these supernova. But when I bring up the app bar, there's a button down here at the bottom that says full image. And what that's going to do when I tap it is it makes an async call to actually go get the high-res images for these supernova. Now, I have a breakpoint set here, so I'm going to go tap on this, and I've hit the breakpoint. Now, developers in the room, you know what's going to happen here. If I try to step over this, what's going to happen is first that async operation gets triggered and starts. Control returns to UI processing, so my app stays responsive and I can keep processing UI events. And only when that async routine is done does control come back to the next statement in here. Now, today, if you do this, what's going to happen is when you get back there and you look at the call stack, there's one function on it, and that's it. We've completely lost the async call context. So it makes it kind of tricky to actually debug around these async calls. Let's try this in Visual Studio 2013, though. I'm going to step over this. Now look at the call stack down at the bottom. It's actually preserved the entire async call context for me. So that retains my ability to actually effectively trace through my code, and it just makes it much, much easier to debug async code. Now, I mentioned connected apps earlier. Visual Studio 2013 makes it trivial to connect an Azure mobile service to your app to send it push notifications. I want to have a look at that now. We're going to go back to my first app, and what I want to do is I want to have, let's close this report here. What I'd like to do is actually set up a live tile for this app and have an Azure service that basically monitors a data source, and when a new supernova shows up, it sends a notification down, and the live tile actually shows a photo and a message about a new supernova showing up. Now, the way I do this is I'm going to go into the Solution Explorer here, and I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to go to Add, and I will select Push Notification. Now, this starts up a wizard. I'm not going to walk through the whole wizard. It has about 8 to 10 steps, but I'm just answering a bunch of questions in here. And what this wizard will do is it actually provisions an Azure mobile service for me, pushes all this template code over to it, and connects everything together so that I can actually get these push notifications. What's even cooler, and I did this earlier, so it's set up this way. What's even cooler is I can use this new Server Explorer here to actually go look at the service side code without ever leaving my client project, which is really neat. Let's look at insert.js. So this is this is the piece of code right here that'll actually send the notification. I've chosen a tile template that basically cycles between an image and 2 lines of text. And you can see here, that's all it's setting up. It's setting up the source for the image and then the lines of text. We'll run this, and we'll give it a second. Now it's fired up the service over on the Azure mobile service, and the app is running. And if we switch over to the Start menu, we should see our tile. There's our tile right there. And if you give it something like 5 to 8 seconds here, you'll see it cycle between the image and between the text. So just like that. That was super easy, just did it through a wizard. How cool is that? So let's switch and talk about something different now. I want to talk about the web platform. Since Windows 7, Microsoft's been a leader in supporting web standards. And we continue this in 8.1 by adding support for WebGL and MPEG-. So WebGL is a JavaScript API for rendering interactive 3D graphics without using a plugin at all. MPEG- is a protocol for high-quality video streaming. It does things like variable bitrate and DRM and things like that. And the web platform in Windows 8.1 supports both of these. And because the web platform powers both IE and the web view control, it means that you have access now to WebGL and MPEG- content, both in the browser and in your native apps. So let's have a look at that. I'm going to start in IE here. And what you're seeing here is a page with WebGL content in it. So this is a beautifully rendered 3D object. You can see the lighting and the shadows and all that stuff. And using touch pointer events, I can actually interact with it. And it's super nice. It's really smooth because it's hardware accelerated, and all the rendering in the web platform is actually hardware accelerated. So that's really neat. Now, let's do something different here. I'm going to come over here, and I have an app that's running, and we're going to dock it right next to it. Now, this on the left is a native app. Right? It's got the same code, the same markup, the same experience in it, and it's running in WebGL too. So this shows you just how easy it is to take code that I've written for a website and just bring it over to a native app almost seamlessly and make it work in the native app. Now the cool thing about this is because it's a native app and it's running in the web view control, I can put multiple web view controls on my canvas. So let's get rid of this window. Let's tap next here. Now here's a place where I actually have 4 web view controls up in my native app. The 2 at the top are both WebGL controls. This one is the one on the top left is the one we just saw. This one is a panorama. I can, of course, interact with these. I can actually interact with both of them at the same time. And then at the bottom, what you're seeing are 2 1080p streaming videos that are streaming over MPEG-Dash. The one on the right actually is DRM protected, the one on the left isn't. But all this stuff is playing at the same time, hardware accelerated, super seamlessly. It's really, really cool stuff. And we've even done more about with the web view control. So one of the things that many of you have been asking for is to actually be able to compose the web view controls with other components of the UI. So we've done that. If you see here when I bring in the app bar, see how it just swipes over, it's transparent, the content is still playing in the back? It's super, super cool and lets you create absolutely beautiful apps. We've done more than that even with the web view control. We've added navigation events. We've added smart screens so that you stay safe with the content that you bring into those controls. The controls handle offline content. All of this makes it easier than ever to build high-performance apps that blend both local and web content. Okay, now I want to talk about the Windows Store. So the store, of course, continues to offer the best economics of any store out there, period. But we've also redesigned it so people can more easily find and buy your apps. We've added support for cash-stored value in over 40 markets. We've added in-app purchasing for items and consumables. We've added app gifting. And we've also added significantly better merchandising and promotion powered by Bing. Our goal is to make sure that people know about all the great apps that you write and then to make it easy and flexible for them to buy them. I want to show you a few highlights. So the first thing you're going to, I'm back here at the start screen, and you can see the store tile up here, and the first thing you're going to notice is that there's something missing. There's not a little update count up in the top right corner. We are done with those. You will never see those update counts again. We're done with manual app updating. In Windows 8.1 now, apps get updated automatically so that your customers are always running the latest version of your app. Now let's tap on the tile and go into the store. And you can see here that we've actually significantly redesigned how this works. The first section you see here on the right is a rotating spotlight. So this is a programmed section where we get to show some great apps. And then as I pan over to the right, what you're seeing here are lists. So we know that people love lists as a way to go discover apps. So what we've done is we've brought these lists to the front and exploded them on the front page of the store. So you get to see a lot more apps than you used to, and it just makes it much easier to find things and much easier for customers to find your apps. I want to point out one list in particular here, which is the first one. It's the Picks for You list. So this is kind of cool. This is actually a personalized list for you. So it's built actually by the Bing recommendation engine based around signals like apps that you've acquired before and ratings and similar apps that other people have acquired. So it's a great, great way to actually discover new apps. And of course, as a developer, it's a great way to have your apps merchandised to potential customers. So really cool stuff. Let's go over here, and I'm going to tap into one of these so we can have a look at what the new app description page is. So this has been changed a lot also. You see there's a lot more surface area to show some really high fidelity screenshots from my app. As I go across here, you can see some ratings and some rich ratings and information ratings and review information. And probably the most important section to talk about here, or most interesting section to talk about, are related apps and then apps by Microsoft Studios, which in this case is us. So this is a place where you get to cross-merchandise your apps if you have a number of apps in the store. So again, a great way to have people discover the apps that you're building and actually to sell